from Darkstar Astrology, bringing you the October monthly forecast. So, I hope you like my new lovely blue velvet curtain and the no square around my face this time. I'm getting it. I am waiting for a new camera. I'm just using my Logitech at the moment. So, what we're going to look at this month, I think, is, I know I've done a dedicated video for Venus Retrograde, but I haven't done it for each sign. So at the end of this video, there'll be Venus for each sign and see how it goes. It's going to be going through, it starts off with Venus in Scorpio and then it retrogrades back into Libra. And the changeover happens more or less when the Lucifer phase starts as well. So I thought that's how I divided it to make it simple, because it was pointless to do the definition of Venus in her Lucifer phase for like 2 days. So it sort of neatly goes into the next house and the next sign and that will also go into a new house and sign in your own chart. So that's how I've done it. So, but first of all, what I want to do is have a look through the chart for October. Now, so we start off with the Sun and Mercury and Ceres all in Libra. I mean, the major thing is that there's this T-square that's going to be activated because Uranus has retrograde back into, is retrograde now. And so it will end up going back into Aries for a little while. But until then, it's going to make this T-square with the nodes. Because the North Node has now got to Leo, to 1 degree Leo. And that's, the nodes travel backwards through the charts anyway. So it's going to be very interesting for those with fixed signs and fixed signs Decan 1, because they're going to get this T-square activated one by one. I was going to call it a grand cross, but you actually can't say it's a grand cross if there's no planets involved. The nodes are not planets, but because they are, I just think it's important that they're squaring Uranus, because I think what they're going to do is bring out Uranus. Well, it's going to bring out the meaning of Uranus in Taurus, what the hell that means anyway. I have to do a post on it because I haven't really looked into it, and really we should, because this is the whole ingress of Uranus in Taurus is a big deal because it's been in Aries for 7 years. And while it's been in Aries, it's been really, I think there's been a lot of terrorism, there's been a lot of violence, and it's been very explosive, really. Now it's in Taurus, which is going to calm it down, but so far, what I think what's happening with it is to do with the internet. It's become an internet thing. I'm not quite sure why Taurus is, what that's got to do with the internet, really. Because Taurus and Uranus, they're such odd bedfellows, because Uranus is so electrical and so ungrounded, whereas Taurus is an earth sign, so it's groundy. And so it's grounding Uranus, and I guess Uranus in, I think I talked about this, didn't I, in the September one? Sorry, am I repeating myself? But since it's been triggered now, all I know is that I know that there's been a big deal about alternative YouTubers who are to the right, and Uranus, I have established, is a very individualist. Well, I haven't established this, but it is known as the individualist and the awakener and the enlightener and the truth-sayer, even if it's shocking. And now that it's in Taurus and being squared by the nodes, and there's this big kind of focus on the alternative web, where I don't know where this was published, but all I saw that there was like a kind of network of so-called reactionary, they call it the reactionary right. Of course they have to call it the reactionary right. You know, there's never a problem with a reactionary left, and I don't even think it's the right anyway. It's just because it's wanting to have strong borders. Now, that could be what Taurus is about, because Taurus is about, it is a fixed sign. It likes fixedness and safeness and security. So using the internet, which is Uranus, to influence people into wanting more security and boundaries is, I guess, what these reactionary Uranian YouTubers are doing. Their views are really what our grandparents had. Yeah, my grandmother was born 1912. So that generation who were, in their 20s in the war. So they didn't know multiculturalism. They didn't know about birth control. They didn't know about all the modern things that have actually impacted society in a way that the progressives think is progress. But is it? I don't know. Anyway, so this T-square with the nodes, which basically activates a grand cross, because they're saying that these YouTubers are radicalizing people, so they're going to have to shut them down and censor them. But the thing is, if you censor people and shut them down, a lot of other YouTubers have made this point, is that what happens is you marginalize people even more and they become more radicalized. So, the rebellion of Uranus with these nodes is forcing a kind of confrontation, I guess. And anyway, what happens is that we get, the first activation of the T-square is Mercury on October the 10th. Venus then comes back to join the Sun. This is an interesting one. October the 26th. So, Venus opposite and the Sun opposite Uranus on its own, if you just take that on its own, is out of the blue love relationships. And of course, I've already talked about Venus retrograde, so I don't want to go into that too much. But I'm wondering what it could mean in other ways that aren't to do with love. Because we've got Venus in Scorpio and Jupiter being in Scorpio. I did call Jupiter in Scorpio as being revelations and Pandora, and my illustration was Pandora opening the box. When Jupiter went into Scorpio, first of all, we had the Harvey Weinstein revelation, and then all the Me Too's, didn't we? So I don't know whether this is going to be another kind of Me Too type thing, because Venus is in retrograde can be revenge from women who have been, abused. But then it could also, so this is the problem, it could also be women who haven't been abused and are taking revenge as well. It is the Kali. Venus retrograde can be quite spiteful as well. And this is annoying. It's awful because it means that then women who really have been sexually assaulted won't be believed. It can be so easily used as a honey trap. It can be so easily used as a way to ruin a guy's career forever and ever and ever. So Venus can be quite spiteful. And with the nodes and Uranus as well, there could be some kind of, shocking revelation or sex being used for political ways to push a revolution, to push something shocking into the media that changes the course of somebody's life, because the nodes are really about getting on the right course and fated events as well. Because of the South Node, let's not forget the South Node as well. The South Node is going to be in Aquarius, so anybody who has a planet in Aquarius there will turn this into, will feel this as a grand cross in their chart, which could be finding themselves at a crossroads at this time. So especially around October the 26th. I've got all the dates for when these aspects and transits happen on the website on the October report. So check that out if you just want to see what's happening when. I think I might do a post on Uranus in Taurus. But my my feeling about it is very worrying about, I think it's called Article 13, and in Europe they are really, they're wanting to charge people for linking. It's just another way that they're trying to control the internet, because obviously now there's an alternative voice out there. I haven't looked into it yet. I've just heard rumblings about it from the alternative people that I watch, who are branded as, they're just based, basically. Here's your based astrologer. But I'm being quite careful. I haven't really talked about anything in great detail. So, I'm an astrologer, for crying out loud. I don't want to be getting into this. But the thing is, Uranus is political. It's about rebelling against the gods. It's the Promethean fire. So I wonder if the Promethean fire is the internet, firewire connections and broadband. These are live wires, and using it in a Taurian way, it's kind of like going back to traditional values, and Taurus is pretty traditional. So the empty leg of this T-square is Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius, what did that really mean? Does that mean? We're kind of moving into that now, and I think the controllers, the matrix controllers, sort of want this one world religion as well. That's what I was going to talk about. The base Dalai Lama. I can't believe he said what he said. He said Europe for the Europeans because of the whole China and Tibet thing. So, there's a lot of things bubbling up, and I think that's why they want to control the internet more. I mean, maybe Taurus is about putting controls on the internet, and making it so that alternative media cannot speak out about things, because what they're saying, that it's, they're saying that it's worrisome and it could cause violence. But all the people that I watch, they're the most peaceful people out. They are plodding, sort of safe Taurus people. They're not revolutionaries. The revolutionary feisty time for Uranus was when it was in Aries. That's over now. So I think what's going on now is the matrix control system are really scared of these alternative YouTubers, because they're actually just normal people, and they can't brand them as being radical, skinhead, far right extremists, because none of them are. They're lipstick wearing, a lot of them girlies like me, Lauren Southern and Brittany Pettibone. I mean, come on, are they dangerous? Am I dangerous? They don't like that, so they want to brand us as being these kind of nutters. I like Uranus and Taurus, because I think it's going to show the normal face of normal people who are just concerned about what's going on with the internet. Why can't we just talk about our concerns without it being branded as a hate crime? So anyway, I think the next 7 years of Uranus and Taurus is going to be really, really interesting. I think that's all I've got to say about October. Most planets are going to be in Scorpio. So whatever Scorpio is in your chart, that's where the action is going to be, whatever house you have for Scorpio. And that's where Venus retrograde starts off as well. So anyway, let's get on to see how Venus retrograde will work for your own sign. So Venus retrograde for Aries. Now, you're going to have Venus retrograde in probably the most dark, cupidest place you could possibly have it, because it's going to be in your 8th house for some of the retrograde. Much depends on how Venus is configured in your natal chart and how much you're already a beacon for these dragons. So you will certainly confront your shadow anyway while Venus is in this part of your chart. And it will be there during the first half of the retrograde from October the 6th to the 26th. First of all, you will confront your shadow, but you will have a choice as to whether you let this retrograde pull you down into the rabbit hole or not. In this netherworld, though, you can so easily be hoodwinked and will have to rely totally on intuition. Keep those antennas sharp and feet grounded. A good knowledge about psychology will serve you well and give you an opportunity to study your own psyche. What appears at this time will mirror back to you any toxins buried deep inside. If you're fairly clear energetically, then this won't really be such an intense encounter. Whatever happens, any sexual experiences will serve as a catalyst for deep transformation and inner purging. It can feel like you have been bitten by a vampire, injected by an addictive poison. So your body will have to work hard to detox from this encounter and provoke a healing crisis. During the first half of that retrograde, Venus is in her more benign phase, so that will make the dragon slaying easier and your willpower strong. But from November the 1st, Venus retrograde can revive an old flame, as if you didn't need any more of that already, with Mars retrograde as well. For some, this love affair could be just a fit of nostalgia that ends once Venus turns direct. But for others, it could turn out to be a lasting second chance at love. So you're both single at the same time finally, so voila, there you go. You might even meet an old client or friend whom you sign a contract for a long-term deal. The Venus influence is even more auspicious if the collaboration involves the arts or beauty or fashion-related business. You might make all the preparations while Venus is in retrograde and seal the deal when she goes direct. During the second half of this retrograde, which is from November the 1st to 16, Lucifer Venus will play the seductress, so try not to abuse your vamp power. So Taurus, you've got it in your marriage zone. Now this could work out either wonderfully or not, depending on how much self-work you've already done in the realm of relationships. Usually Venus is mostly love and light, but in her retrograde phase, she tends to call on her Luciferian side. The horny one's random mischief making can cause havoc with this house's other function, open enemies. An old foe could resurface, but this actually gives you the opportunity to make peace with them. They may never be your best buddies, but at least you can tie up loose ends and bring closure to your connection. The same goes for any ex-partner with whom you hold some resentment towards. Reconciling with your ex would even be better if there are children involved. Sometimes literally a divorce can finalise at this time and could rake up some sad memories, or you could find yourself pining over an ex-lover. During the first half of this period, from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus is in her harmonious phase, which does at least bring ease to most relationships. From November the 1st, you should benefit from congenial rapport with your peers. You could work very well as a team, but it wouldn't be ethical to ride on their hard work. Your colleagues are enjoying your charming company too much to reprimand you for not pulling your weight. But if you carry on taking advantage, they could really turn on you when Venus goes direct. Your health, though, should be pretty good at this time. So much so that you feel you can indulge in rich foods to reward yourself. You may well put on some extra weight during this time, but at the same time have the energy to burn it off at the gym afterwards, so it kind of balances out. During the second half of the Venus retrograde, November the 1st to 16, Lucifer Venus will want to play the office clown, but try not to take advantage of your popularity because it could cause resentment later on when she goes direct. So for Gemini, the Venus retrograde will force you to deal with the practicalities of the real world and not romantic fluff. I'm afraid you will have to set aside your more frivolous urges for the time being and concentrate on making partnerships work with co-workers and business partners. Venus here is just incompatible with indulgence and pleasure. So this will be a test in how well you can resist temptations away from your daily duties. If you do not have a steady job, it is important that you stick to your routines, as you could easily fall into lazy habits that will be hard to knock later on. This is the transit of slacking off and trying to cut corners. And again, this is not recommended, as you will still have to make up for lost time when Venus goes direct, and then you will feel even less like doing the work twice over. During the first half of this period, from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus is in her harmonious phase, which brings ease to work relationships. But from November the 21st, if you do begin a relationship under this transit, bear in mind that when it goes direct, there could be a change of heart. This might be because the romance got the better of you both, but a harsh reality ends it. For example, the long distance won't work out if one of you is married. Another possibility is flirting madly with someone online, only to find that there's no chemistry when you meet in real life. It's not all about romance though. It's a fantastic time for having a holiday that focuses totally on your children, like going to a theme park. Make the most of this extra long period of Venus because it's in such a fantastic position, which is actually your 5th house, if you wanted to know the details. During the second half, from November the 1st to the 16th, Lucifer Venus will start to want to play the fool herself, where a very silly sexual faux pas could happen. Dark Cupid alert! So Cancer, enjoy returning to the places of your misspent youth while Venus lingers in your house of fun. This is a really enjoyable period where you can be utterly hedonistic. The only big danger here is having a silly accident while overindulging. The best thing to do is get someone responsible to be your eyes and ears for the next 2 weeks. You're going to be acting like a teenager, so don't operate any heavy machinery or drive while under the influence. Most days, you will feel like the brain has been invaded by cotton candy and seeing life through rose-tinted spectacles. Even if you don't like pink, everything seems to have a fluffy edge to it. Yes, it is the most sensual position for Venus and just perfect for falling in love. However, you might easily fall heavily for a fantasy person. Hopefully, this unrequited love will only last until Venus direct on November the 16th. So until then, use this person as a muse to create art, music, or poetry. And if you're not creating yourself, then you will enjoy artistic works of others at the theatre, cinema, or art galleries. During the first half of this period, from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus in her prudent phase will more likely to gain pleasure watching others horse around. Now, the second half, from November the 1st, the only problem may be too much indulgence because you really don't feel much like parting with your comfy cocoon. Curled up like a cat on the sofa with a bag of munchies doesn't burn many calories, so you could easily put some weight on during this time. One of the nicest ways to enjoy this period is to have a romantic time with a partner, however, which could actually burn some calories. Holding dinner parties with other couples will be great fun, especially if this involves reconnecting after a long time. Reunions with very old friends or classmates at your home would be perfect too, and the relationship with your parents might actually be up for a review as well. And it could be a lovely warming time or family bond renewal, or if you're unlucky to have narcissistic parents, it could equally revive old childhood wounds as well. During the second half, from November the 1st to the 16th, Lucifer Venus gets restless with the urge to finish the living room with glitzy gold paisley wallpaper, so do get a second opinion. So what does Venus retrograde mean for Leo? Now this is going to be a fantastic period for redecorating your home. Retrogrades work best when you do stuff prefixed with a re, so Venus retrograde can make you quite lazy here though. And you might want to relax rather than be up a ladder. If you can afford it, then get someone else to do the legwork so you could spend happy hours browsing through wallpaper samples and soft furnishings. Otherwise, simple efforts to brighten up a room with cushions and new curtains will suffice. The feeling of wanting to retreat into the sanctuary of your home will be strong at this time, so get hold of items that support this. Candles, incense, and colours that please the eye help you feel relaxed and are important. As always during a retrograde, there will always be the tendency to have a few events that prompt you to ask yourself if the domestic arrangement really is one that supports you. Do you feel at home in your home? And this means there may well be the odd altercation with those you live with, even if it's an over-friendly stray cat. During the first half of the period from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus is in her prudent phase and will want to make peace with her roots. Now, the second phase from November the 1st, starting an art course or something that reignites your creativity would be very beneficial. It may rekindle talents that you had as a child. Learning a craft can be very therapeutic and will also massage those rusty brain cells back into action. Making things with our hands helps raise intelligence in other areas, and learning new skills is a sure way to keep your mind young and memory fresh. So learn a musical instrument. This would be perfect during this period, and studies have shown that it raises your IQ as well. So the theme at this time is using beauty and harmony to help heal the mind. What you take in visually is felt acutely in the synapses. So you might revisit a place where you used to live and feel very happy. Taking scenic walks, admiring the view from your favourite cafe, feeds your head with natural happy pills. But of course, the second phase, November the 1st till the 16th, Venus is in her Lucifer phase and she'll more likely want to go wild with artistic expression. Watch out for the low-flying paint. So Virgo, Venus retrograde is going to be in your neighbourhood zone, and this causes you to review how harmonious your immediate surroundings are with how you feel inside. For some people, it is the utmost importance that they live somewhere that is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. For others, they just need to feel that they resonate with the general vibe. So at this time, an event could occur that makes you question whether you truly are in tune with the local area. Maybe it has changed over the years so that it's quite unrecognizable to the area you once fell in love with. You might consider whether you need to move somewhere where you feel more connected to the locals. This is also a very good time to go and check out possible places you might like to move away to and see if you fit in there. If you have not spent time with your siblings lately, this also can be a really wonderful time to reconnect also. So then, during the first half of this period, from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus is in her more sensible, prudent phase and will want to learn a new skill. From November the 1st is the second phase, and it could make you a lot of money or equally lose you a lot. It all depends on how well you gamble and are able to defer gratification. Financial opportunities should come your way, and your ability to make magic with those pentacles is heightened. The very worst that could happen is that you could be seduced by a gold digger, especially during the second stage of this period. So be wary of anything that looks a little too shiny and too good to be true if you want to hang on to your gains. It's also a good time to reflect on your feelings of self-worth and how it relates to your income. If you've been working on your self-esteem issues, you could see the fruits from that inner work blossom now externally. During this second half, from November the 1st to the 16th, Lucifer becomes her very opposite, the Luciferian temptress who just wants to spend on herself. So Libra, it is the planet of money as well as value, which means activating a review of your spending and what you value. The way Venus will do this is by using her great powers of attraction to pull abundance and money your way. Hooray! With your pockets bulging, you will have the opportunity to be quite lavish with your spending. So beautiful clothes, jewellery and rich foods are paraded in front of your eyes, so you can easily find yourself being lured into spending more than usual. With luxury lifestyles being flaunted around you, it's very tempting to want to keep up with the Joneses. The problem is you really don't know whether this windfall will last beyond the retrograde period. So then, during the first half, from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus will be in her more sensible Hesperus phase, and this makes her prudent, and so then you will actually want to invest wisely your money or save it. So during the second phase of the retrograde, she actually goes into your sign now, and that'll be from November the 1st to the 16th. And then you become the very opposite of what you were before, a Luciferian seducer. Your appearance will reflect these two sides of Venus very starkly. For example, you might have been wearing flowing pastel-hued robes during the first half, but then transit to tight-fitting black or hot-coloured vestments later on. The relationships you attract at this time could be confusing for you and them. Possibly partners could easily be misled by the contrary images that you're projecting as you try to find the real you. Therefore, it will be hard to make one relationship stick until Venus has gone direct and you've settled into your style. So for Scorpio, now the first half of the Venus retrograde takes place in your own sign. So this will be particularly strong for you. Now, you've been given the opportunity to really reinvent yourself. On a most basic level, this transit can prompt a makeover. So changing the style of your clothes, going blonde, or starting a fitness routine that alters your body's appearance on the outside are all possibilities. But it does go deeper than that, and the packaging is really a symbol of the inner changes too. So what you're probably doing is revisiting a look that you had in the past, with the psychological effect that it will make you feel younger and vital again. You could be drawn to retro fashion as well, and any changes in your appearance might worry loved ones, as this might be quite unusual for you. If you're in a relationship, they may even suspect you of having an affair. It doesn't help that at this time you are contradictory with the messages you're projecting. So that's during the first half of the period from October the 6th to the 26th, and you will be projecting Venus in her loving, receptive, but quite virginal phase. Now, from November the 1st, Venus moves into the self-sacrificial 12th house, and the only way devoted energy can work at this personal level is if your partner becomes ill and really needs you to look after them for a while. This could be payback from a time when they supported you in the past. When love is given totally unconditionally, then this Venus retrograde can be really fulfilling. It can transmit a higher soul love that radiates much further than just the couple in question. Another great way to use this energy is to go on some sort of artistic retreat where you can be taken away from the modern world. There you will have yourself and your paints, and it's a good time to make the unconscious conscious by letting it spill out onto the blank page. So during this second half, from November the 1st to the 16th, Venus in her Lucifer phase could easily con you into playing the martyr to some wretched soul. And this can, of course, show up as the Neptunian victim, Dark Cupid. Don't let that vampire suck you bone dry. So who's next? It is Sagittarius. Venus retrograde in the house of self-sacrifice and mysticism could end up being a period of self-undoing unless you keep yourself well grounded. It's very easy to become hopelessly devoted to any stray cat that comes through your door. And if that cat is actually a furry one, then all well and good, and come as your guardian to ward away any negative energy. But seriously, the human variety will carry a health warning. You could so easily become a martyr to this hopeless cause. Not only that, but you could be encouraging a victim mindset in that person, and they won't thank you for it once the crutch falls away. You don't want to make a rod for your own back, as the saying goes. Great empathy is available to you at this time, so a good use of it would be to create a platform from which to transmit the concerns of the collective. This could be art or a healing space of some kind. The energy of Venus in this sector of your chart is that of a transpersonal nature, and it does not operate well within the confines of a one-to-one relationship. Now, during this first half of the period, from October the 6th to the 26th, Venus in her harmonious phase will probably produce some beautiful ethereal art if you're so inclined. Otherwise, you will naturally gravitate to beautiful healing environments. So that's the positive side of Venus there. So from November the 1st could be a wonderful time, though, where you reconnect with your oldest friends and also make new ones at the same time. You will have a great yearning to be a social animal and will not feel happy left on your own. This is not the time to be a hermit, even if Venus is feeling quite shy in her retrograde phase. The challenge is to push through the shyness and reach out, as you will be pleasantly surprised by the response. It would be easiest, though, to make friends within the framework of a common interest group, as you will feel more comfortable amongst like-minded fellows. You could find yourself attracted to groups that enjoy art or cultural excursions, which would bring in new friendships too. The people that you are drawn to may be ones that you feel you've known in a past life. There certainly will be something familiar about them, and the prior bond will feel warm and inviting, making conversations flow easily. During the second half, from November the 1st to the 16th, Venus in her Lucifer phase is more likely to overdo the party animal behaviour, so be careful you don't burn yourself out with too much social networking. So for you, Capricorn, Venus retrograde will bring a fateful feel to any new partnerships and friendships that you encounter, and one of them could start off very platonic and then end up as a long-term romantic partner. This is also a time to renew your hopes and dreams. Some wishes may fall away as you realise through discussion with groups or friends that the dreams were simply totally unrealistic. It's good at this time to gain different perspectives through debates with your peer group. This brainstorming will help form new visions for the future. Now, during the first half of this period, from October 6th to the 26th, Venus is in her harmonious phase and could signify reconciliation with lost friends and the opportunity to rebuild bridges. From November the 1st, if you're usually a business mogul, then you might find yourself temporarily involved with a rebrand of your company, redesigning logos or redecorating your office. On occasion, Venus retrograde, although fortunate here, makes one a little bit too complacent. So success can happen, but then you don't follow through, or you're getting a lot of attention, but nothing comes of it. Venus's blessings could go down the drain if you show a lack of appreciation of others, or you are exhibiting diva behavior. The twin Venus evils of greed and vanity could also surface and damage your reputation in the future. So keep self-aware. So during the second half, from November the 1st to the 16th, Venus in her Lucifer phase is more likely to let success go to her head. So watch out that you don't annoy people with excessive demands during this time. So Aquarius, what's going on for you? It's Venus retrograde in your house of career and status, and that could have you feeling attracted to rich authority figures or someone much older than you. What you're actually seeking is a guide to help you get ahead. So you could attract a business mentor at this time. It may be the case that this person owes you karmically. Negatively, you might go for someone just because they have good social standing and good connections, or purely for mercenary reasons. If this is the case, then you will be exposed as a gold digger when Venus goes direct, so just make sure that you question your true motives. Otherwise, as I said earlier, this patron may appear out of nowhere and be very insistent that you take their sponsorship or advice. Retrogrades always have a sense of karmic payback to them and often feel fated, so this is one of the most powerful placements for Venus retrograde in your true life calling zone. You need to make sure you take control of the wheel and not let the beneficence of Venus just coast you along. Otherwise, it will be a wasted opportunity. You might, however, actually pull away from the material option and think about a path that involves counselling, bringing people together socially, or doing something artistic. So during this period until October the 26th, Venus is in her more harmonious phase, which makes diplomacy with seniors or clients pleasant and easygoing. You should also receive a lot of praise. From November the 1st, the only challenge you could face here is if you start any court proceedings related to divorce at this time. There shouldn't be too much of a problem if it's a simple, clear-cut, no-fault one with no court appearance or custody battles. However, if it's more complex than that, you might want to wait until Venus goes direct. On the other hand, if you got the timing right, the case might culminate after Venus is direct on November the 16th, and this could be quite auspicious. You could end up with quite a generous settlement since Venus is a benefic and it rules money after all. So during this second half until November the 16th, Venus is Lucifer and she's more daring. So you might feel more adventurous and go off the beaten track. And this may bring about an unexpected and illuminating peak experience. So finally, Pisces. Now, for you, meeting a long-lost love on a faraway island is the most fairy tale manifestation of Venus retrograde in your travel zone. Most of all, this transit can transport you back to ancient times, but whether you meet a tall, dark, handsome stranger or foreigner is debatable. You may feel, however, a strong pull towards places where you might have had a romantic connection in the past. You could even stumble across an exotic old flame if other astrological factors support this. Less fantastical options would be taking a trip with a suitcase full of crayons. A drawing holiday to a past life location would be greatly inspiring. You might even find that you draw out and remember your olden day persona. This is one of the easiest Venus retrogrades, for it brings a reconnection with an ancient wisdom that is sometimes felt very acutely through the land itself. Therefore, going to a place that has many sacred sites is a fantastic use of this energy, as is going back to study in higher education as an adult. Now, during this time, you might feel drawn towards art, music, or styles that reconnect you to places that you visited in the past. Now, during the first half until the 26th of October, Venus is in her harmonious phase, which makes travel pleasant and easygoing. Now, the second phase after November the 1st, Venus is in the dark dimension, and it is like having radiotherapy. What that means is that what doesn't kill you will make you stronger. It all depends on the dose, so one small bite might make you realise, red flag, I'm not going to fall for that again. So, obviously you're meeting dragons here. Now, in slaying the dragon of temptation, it actually might become clear that you have the strength and willpower more than you realise. This can also work for addictions too. Now, your partner's money or debt can also be an issue at this time, and you might need to review joint finances or ask for a loan. Challenges are thrown up if you rely heavily on other people's generosity, and you really will have to work hard to convince leaders that you are a worthy investment, because they won't pay at the drop of a hat while Venus is retrograde. You should have more luck after November the 16th though. So during the second half to the 16th, Lucifer Venus is at her most sorcerous, so keep your wits about you if you don't want to fall under her spell. That brings me to the end. If you want your monthly horoscopes in more detail, do come to darkstar where you've got the monthly horoscopes in their entirety, and it'll just be a bit more detailed than what I've read out now. Also, of course, I do have the other Venus retrograde detailed video as well, and I'll put the link under this one. Otherwise, have a wonderful October and enjoy Halloween. All the best. Bye-bye.